Today's a big day. I got the combination to the gate to get onto the property I just bought below my property. It's been logged. You can see there's still some nice maple up there behind there. And the area on the slope behind the little creek here has some nice trees. And here's a home site that's quite frankly a mess right now. I gotta clean up a lot of dirt, but that's all part of the process and why I got it for a good price. All right, today's goal, very simply, I'm going to try to cut. Isaiah's on camera right now, but he's going to help me run some chainsaws, and we're going to cut a trail through the wood. Hopefully that we can get a quad trail up through the thick brush that's there, and we're going to try to site out a way to put a road into our existing property. I have a backpack of dry firewood, so I'm going to try to start a fire with that. It has rained 60 inches in the last few months, and we're in the middle of a really wet season, even wetter than normal, so it's going to be a challenge to get a fire going. So even before I start the chainsaw, I'm going to strategically start a fire and start piling stuff up on top of the fire so it'll dry to the point that it could start burning, and then as we cut more stuff and brush and whatnot, we'll start throwing it on. Hopefully we can get a road cut in today, at least good enough for a quad, and eventually we'll cut it in for a truck, and then we can be burning that brush as we go. Here's where the lower home site's going to be. We're going to have to clean up a bunch of dirt, put in a septic down there. Here comes Isaiah with a couple chainsaws ready to help clear the trail out. So this is where probably eventually a home. Septic's going down there. Right now, RV pads probably, or a tiny home for the time being. And following Isaiah up there, we got to make a road to get to our existing property and some pretty cool sites. So this is what we're working through. Lots of vine maple around here. Lots of blackberries. As you get in there thicker, less blackberry, but it's important that we do this time of year, because with all the leaves down right now, we can kind of get an idea of the terrain and the slope that we want to put a road in. If we wait until spring, we'll be shooting blind through there. So we're going to get the skeleton of the road in now, and so when I get the excavator in here later, we'll know where we're going. I've already cut a short section of where the path is going to be right here. I'm going to start a fire right next to it so it's easy to drag the branches up to it. Having done this many times, I know it's definitely best to put it on a lower spot than a higher spot. It's easier to drag the branches down than up, but I don't want to do it all the way down in the creek there. So I'm going to build it right here. You may be questioning why I'm building it right in the woods forest. On a steep slope on my property this time of year, I've built a fire, a huge fire, right up against a tree to keep it from the fire from rolling down the hill. You cannot catch the forest on fire here right now. It does change in the summer. There's forest fires. I'm not saying be reckless, but we've had 60 inches of rain already this rain season, and we have 3 more months of raining season. I am not going to catch the forest on fire. Okay, the moisture that's in everything is going to make this difficult. I didn't bring any paper, that's all right. This is one of those cases where you need to know your firewood. I have cedar right here, so I'm going to be using cedar as tinder and kindling to start this fire. I'm going to just strip up some of the cedar, and this will should light up pretty easily. The difficulty that we're going to have here is there's so much moisture in this ground and in these leaves that as I start a fire, the water's going to start evaporating and basically want to put the fire out. So getting it started is going to be the biggest challenge. I do have the dry firewood I brought in my backpack, and then if I get the fire going, I'll start stacking smaller stuff on top immediately, not to burn, but it'll be drying out as the rest is burning. And I'll just start stacking it up, and it'll become it'll get drier and drier, and it'll look like it's going to go out. This is the way it normally works. Looks like it's all going to die out, and then eventually it gets dry enough, it takes off, it gets hot enough, and it starts burning everything. That's the plan. So I'm getting my cedar strips that I'll be using as tinder. Hopefully it starts. And then I got other strips of cedar that I'll use as kindling. I got a little bit of alder here that starts fairly easy. It'll go on next. And then I'll use some bigger pieces and some maple that don't start as fast but sustain the fire a little bit longer. So let's see if we can get this going. Okay, we got a little bit of the cedar strips going. Get a little bit more cedar in there because it will want to burn more than anything else. Cedar is a wonderful thing in starting fires. I used a vine maple that was on the ground, a little branch was going up that I tipped everything up against that vine maple to give a little airspace underneath. We're going to start going with a little teepee effect. Going to have to start fighting to get air in here. Don't be. This is where I always have trouble being patient. The fire is actually burning pretty good in there. If I was just doing a campfire, there'd be no problem keeping this going. And so this is where I always want to start throwing branches on already. And then if this starts, that tends to smother it out with all the moisture. And then the next thing you know, my fire's going out and I've got all these branches on it. So I need to make sure I get this going, the flames going a little bit good, a little bit better, and get some good solid coals in there and get some good solid flames before I start burying it. I did bring my backpack blower. It's back at the truck, but typically the backpack blower is very helpful in these situations. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to go get it right now. And so it will definitely keep this fire going faster. Even if the fire is working, it'll keep it going faster if I have the blower here. The fire is not going too terribly hot right now. I'm going to get the blower back on in a little bit. But there's enough heat that this wood is all going to be drying. And hopefully when I put some air on it, it'll take off. Isaiah's been doing good work here. Okay, one thing to remember, when you're cutting trees that aren't really trees, you got these vine maple branches, you're in blackberry bushes, sometimes I have thistles that are up that I need to run with the chainsaw. Just one thing to remember, the chain runs this way, away from you on the top and back towards you on the bottom. So if you got small things that are going to snap back and forth when you cut them, if you cut with the top of the bar, you're going to be pushing it away from you. I don't know how many times I've been cutting wispy stuff, catch it with the chain coming back, and it just slaps me in the face. So when you got stuff that really wants to slap around because it's not a firm tree, use the top of the bar and it will throw it away from you instead of using the bottom of the bar where it pulls it into you. Stinging nettles being pulled into your face is not a fun thing. Opening up the trail across our seasonal creek here. We might be able to get our quad through here by the end of the day. But this is the place we plan to put the road eventually. Oh good, he's got it cut up into firewood even. Attaboy. Got more firewood here. Looking good. Oh! The rest of the crew showing up now. Looks like. Doing good, Isaiah. You've been running this all day and your brothers show up when I turn the camera on.
That's right. We know how to get our credit.
I don't even know where this place is.
Huh?
I didn't even know where this place was.
I was cleaning up our property up top.
My youngest son, Isaiah. Third son, Jacob.
Middle son.
Kind of adopted son, or he lives with us, Reggie. A son of some sort. Okay, I've been going for half an hour, 45 minutes, something like that. It may look like my fire is in dire straits, and it's really not going well. But this whole time there's been a lot of heat in there, so hopefully it's been drying out the wood. I'm gonna smash this down, push the blower on, and I hope and expect that it'll shoot back up. Now that I got the crew going, we've got a real fire going. We're just chucking stuff at it. What's not burning is drying, and then it'll burn away later. We'll have to turn this all back in later, but we'll just let it burn down for now. The boys are going to turn it in now. I told them it wasn't on top of the flames, so they're rolling it in. Scorching their face, but they got the wood back in. We have really cleared a nice area today. Okay, this is why I hate vine maple. They start to grow up, they bend over, then they grow up straight again. This is all attached to this, and then there's just another tree behind it. And when you go to cut one down, the next one's tied up and the next one is just twisting and tying. You really have to tighten your chain on the chainsaw because it wants to jump off when you're doing it. So you don't know if it's going to flip this way or that way. But it's just a tangled mess. What is what vine maple is, and just trying to pull it out after you cut it down is a pain in the rear. So you just got to come to the end, just chop it up in pieces to get it on the fire. But it can be done. Most people think, oh, they're beautiful, which they are, but when it takes over the inside of your forest, it's a pain to get it out. So we didn't do exactly what I had planned today. I brought the quad, and I was planning to make a quad trail all the way through the property to my existing property. That didn't happen, but as we got in here, we started accomplishing some of what we wanted to do. I've got a nice stand of fir trees I found here. There's another stand over here, and I'm going to use an excavator and probably cut out a flat spot right here to build a little tiny home in that we'll rent out. Airbnb or hipcamp.com will maybe it'll be a campsite until we have a chance to build it. Part of the reason we didn't build the whole quad trail is we spent a lot of time just getting the vine maple out of this area, but we really think that this area has a lot of potential right here. We've got the big firs, we've got the big maple right there, we've got the seasonal creek. This isn't too steep in here, so I'm really happy with getting this area cleared out today. All right, internet police, don't crucify me for this, but I just want to be open and honest with how things get done out here. I started this fire Saturday, late February, February 27th. Came home, I left it burning at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Sunday I went to church, had to go visit a friend. Sunday afternoon, was not here. It rained a little bit. Now it's Monday afternoon, and there was still, I thought, man, is there still enough coals in there? So I stirred them up. The wood around the fire that had dried by the fire, I kicked it back in there, blew it on a few times, and got the fire going. So all the fringes of the brush that couldn't burn because it was too wet, but it's dried out now, I kicked it back on there, got a great fire going. No matches, no nothing. Again, it is so wet around here, I could pick up this fire, throw it out in the middle of the woods where everything's wet. Would not start a forest fire, okay? But because we had burned for hours and hours and hours, kept throwing stuff in one place, there was a pile of coals deep down underneath there that I could get a fire going again without much effort here.